Christmas is upon us, and if you are anything like me, you have got an imaginary David Attenborough over your shoulder telling you not to be wasteful. But it has been a rough year, and sometimes you just really want a Christmas tree to make it all better. And so, on this episode of the Oxford Sparks Big Questions podcast, we are consulting the professionals and we are asking, should I buy a real or a fake Christmas tree? Ho, ho, ho. I'm Emily Elias, and I promise I am not here to ruin Christmas for you. But you are listening to the podcast where we find really smart people at the University of Oxford, and we ask them the big questions. And for this one, I've managed to find a researcher who loves trees and is willing to indulge my festive spirit.
So I'm Henry Hung from the Department of Plant Sciences at the University of Oxford. Actually, my research is not so much doing with Christmas trees, but I'm actually looking at some tropical forests in Southeast Asia and conserving these really valuable timber tree called rosewood. I mingle with forest scientists. I'm in the forest research group. So I do hear a lot about these conifers, these amazing Christmas trees.
So you are technically not a Christmas tree academic, but you're willing to fill in some of the gaps for us on this big debate.
Well, I can say I'm a Christmas tree enthusiast.
Christmas tree enthusiast. Perfect. Okay, so do we know on average here in the UK how many trees are sold every year?
Oh, it's a hard estimate, but I think British Christmas Trees Growers Association, these years they estimate around 7 to 8 million Christmas trees bought each year. I mean, real trees.
And how long does it take to grow one?
I would say around 10 years to grow to a marketable size, like, 7 feet height, something like this. It takes around 10 years. Well, it varies between different species. For example, actually, the most popular Christmas tree in the UK is called the Notman fir, which originates from Turkey, Georgia, Russia, like that side of Europe. They're very popular because the needles are not sharp and they don't drop readily indoors, so making them very low maintenance, really cool. And they also roughly take around 10 years to be a marketable size that you can put at home.
And so, obviously, a lot of work has gone into making the perfect cone-shaped Christmas tree. I mean, what is the carbon footprint on this from start to finish?
Actually, it really depends on how you handle the tree as well. We often think about these as a life cycle, or what we call in environmental science the cradle to the grave, which literally means where it finally ends, where its destiny is. So one thing to think about is, once we got the Christmas tree at home, and after Christmas, what do we do with that Christmas tree? So one actually big problem is the disposal part. So if we say, oh, even I got a really good environmental friendly Christmas tree from the local source, but if I dispose them in the landfill, actually it's a big problem because landfill leachates have these sort of little teeny tiny microorganisms called methanogen. They produce methanes, which are actually 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide or in the effect of global warming. So it's actually quite damaging if we just let it sit out there and in the landfill. It's actually even better to burn it in a bonfire. Well, who doesn't like a bonfire? Well, because bonfire completely turns all the carbon to carbon dioxide. It's complete combustion. So it's even less carbon footprint than just dumping it in the landfill. For a 2-meter real tree, well, according to the Carbon Trust, it will give actually about 3.5 kilograms of carbon dioxide emission.
Okay, so 3.5, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't really have like a chart next to me where I understand exactly what that means. But if you were to give a score, 5 out of 5 Christmas stars, 5 being the best environmentally friendly thing you could do at Christmas, 1 being a lump of coal in the stocking, not so good, I guess, the smallest star. What would you say a real Christmas tree? Where does that fare on this Christmas scale I've just made up?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I would say I'll actually give it a 4. It really, 4 is kind of a conservative estimate.
Okay, so, I mean, a 4 out of 5 isn't bad. my family, we're a fake Christmas tree family. I know it's controversial. We have a fake tree. I've had the same tree since I was like 10 years old. So the case for the fake tree, am I being a better guy for the environment for having a fake plastic tree, or am I a worse guy?
Well, you have reused the same tree for 10 years, so I must say it's really impressive. And it's actually the suggestion I will give to our audience as well. Like, if you already have a fake Christmas tree, so the most environmental friendly thing you can do is actually to reuse, keep using that tree until it wears off or until it's no longer safe to use that, of course. The problem with these fake Christmas trees is actually they are the products of really, really energy intensive production. So, modern Christmas trees, like, they tend to use a plastic called the PVC, polyvinyl chloride. They actually come from petroleums. So think about mining petroleums. It's already sounding like serious stuff, isn't it? And to produce PVC, to convert petroleum into PVC, that's a lot of additives, plasticizers. So actually, these already accounts for like the major part of the carbon emission, like lots of industrial work. Industrial work produces these carbon dioxide. And the main hub of plastic production is, of course, not in the UK as we can imagine. They're produced somewhere else in the world, well, probably mainly Asia, well, lots of these exporting countries. The distance that it takes for these plastic Christmas trees to travel from the origin, from the production place to your home is long, is so far away. Well, for example, I came from Hong Kong, and it's actually 6,000 miles away from the UK. So think about all those carbon dioxide released by flight and transportation. So they aren't great. And the end life of these fake Christmas trees are not great either, because how do we do with PVC? PVC actually is not that easily recyclable. And of course, recycling these PVC requires lots of power. If we just burn them, they even produce carbon monoxide, dioxins, lots of these harmful materials. So that sounds all scary. So actually, after all, according to Carbon Trust, a 2-meter artificial Christmas tree produces roughly 40 kilograms of carbon dioxide, which is actually 10 times more than the real Christmas tree. Well, you may ask, like, if I keep the same Christmas trees for 10 years, is it then offset the balance? But still, think about the disposal, think about the end point. I mean, there's still lots of possible scenarios that could make the two differ.
So if you were then to do your magical Christmas scale, 5 Christmas stars, 5 being the best environmental thing that could happen, bearing in mind you've put the real tree at 4 stars, where do you think the fake tree lines up?
I would say somewhere between 1 to 2. That sounds harsh, but yeah, it's not really my best way to celebrate Christmas. So I would say 1 to 2.
Fair. But if you kept that tree for over 10 years, does it become slightly better?
Yeah, it does. It definitely makes a difference. So again, it really like depends on what you are already having now. So if you have no trees at your home now and you really want to get one, then I would suggest you to go to local real tree retailer to get locally sourced Christmas trees. They're the best. You're supporting local forestry. You're supporting the forest industry. And we all know sustainably managed forests are actually the best thing. Like, it takes management and sustainably harvesting them and sustainably planting them back to the forest. Actually, have these all positive effects on the biodiversity and the environment as well. But I mean, sometimes we really have no choice. For example, I grew up in Hong Kong, and as you can imagine, we have not too much place there, and there's no forest. How should I say? No producing forest there. So if I had to get a real Christmas tree, then I would have to import it from somewhere in the States or anywhere in the world. So the transportation suddenly becomes a major factor then. So actually, in my childhood, I probably keep the same fake Christmas tree I got from a departmental store for years, until at some point I just decided, well, I actually don't need Christmas trees to celebrate Christmas. And then after that, I just have no Christmas trees at all.
I guess an option is not having one, but I feel like this nation goes crazy for Christmas, and their heads might explode if we just completely sacked off having a tree altogether.
Well, Christmas is about the time you celebrate with your family, with good times, about love and care and union. So, is it really necessary to have a Christmas tree at home? Or can we go for other alternatives like a nice dinner, nice Christmas feast that will still do the same job, that will still give you the festive sense, and that will give you the warmth? I mean, if you really don't think the impulse to have one, then probably not having one this year is a starting point. You can try to have a sense like probably you don't need a Christmas tree in your life. But other choices are probably having these pot-grown Christmas trees were actually like more common these days than, especially if you have a garden, that's great. Then you can buy these pot-grown Christmas trees, put them indoors, and afterwards just bring them back to your garden and put it back in the indoor for next year's Christmas tree. So there are lots of ways, creative ways to do that. You can also DIY your favorite house plants to be these like fake Christmas tree, but still real plants. Speaking of favorite house plants, I actually have two recommendations that I probably can give to our audience. So one is Monterey cypress, and one is the Norfolk Island pine trees. They kind of resemble the real Christmas trees. Well, they are not in the market. They are not in the Christmas tree market. But they are nice house plants. They are actually quite low maintenance as well.
So this year, should I feel guilty if I go and get a real tree?
I mean, no, why? It's like, yeah, it's actually a very good thing.
Are you going to have a Christmas tree this year?
Not for me. Yep, I'm just living a minimalist life this Christmas. I'm not having a Christmas tree for myself.
So don't worry about getting Henry a present for Christmas this year either. Minimalists, they're the easiest people to shop for. This podcast was brought to you by Oxford Sparks from the University of Oxford, with music by John Lyons and a special thank you to Henry Hung. And tell us what you think about this podcast. Please go rate and review us. You can think of it as leaving a Christmas gift for us. You can find us on the internet at Oxford Sparks, and we've got a website, oxfordsparks.ox.ac.uk. I'm Emily Elias. Bye for now.
By the way, I have a Christmas joke for that as well. Why do Christmas trees go to dentists?
I don't know. Why do Christmas trees go out to the dentist?
They want to treat their root canal. So